Shalom all. Unapologetic Truth Channel with EriKiYah here. Pardon my chewing. I'm having a late breakfast here. But I just wanted to share some thoughts. Before I do so, again, thank you so much to all my subscribers, those coming to view my videos. I thank you. And I am praying for each and every one of you. So I wanted to share my thoughts because I was thinking about this the other day and I was like, I really should kind of do a video and talk about it. But Watchman Yahoo had just posted a video, and so yesterday, talking about the different products that we use that have wicked names attached to them, demonic names. And so I figured this is a good segue into that, speaking on a little bit more in depth on that, because I was thinking the other day how I remember that I used to like certain type of horror. I don't know if I would classify a horror movie because it wasn't like a hardcore horror movies, because I was never into that. But I used to like, for example, I used to enjoy watching Godzilla movies, and I'm not even sure why, but I used to enjoy watching those kind of movies. And so when thinking about the different wicked products we used, and thinking about movies like Godzilla and how they keep remaking these movies. Godzilla first came out in the 40s, I believe it was, the late 40s, early 50s, but there were black and white Godzilla movies. The very first one, I dare say, was decades ago. Excuse me. So we look at these movies, we use these products, and don't even really pay attention to the negative connotations that are attached with these things. And I'm going to say, typically, or I would hope that we didn't do these things prior to being believers. Of course, I'm speaking to the believers on this one as well, primarily, but we do these things and we don't even consider the negative effects of these things. We think it's no big deal. I mean, I've been purging things out of my wardrobe, for example, that have negative names associated. Like, for example, Faded Glory. Yeah, that's out of my, like, I'm not doing that. So I'm purging, or I have been purging my life of different things like that. And so in using these different products, for example, like devil's food cake, deviled eggs, and all of that, oftentimes we don't really focus on the fact that there's more to it than just a name. So going back to the Godzilla movies that I used to enjoy watching, and the fact that these movies are still being remade. Why do they need to keep remaking these movies? And I'm thinking about it the other day, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Godzilla, that was Leviathan. Those that understand about spiritual warfare, things of that nature, or even if you may not even understand completely, because I sure don't, but you have some awareness of what some of these beings, these demonic entities are about. Godzilla is nothing but Leviathan. Okay? So it's a dragon. You know, the Bible talks about dragon, uses the word dragon in some translations, of course. So it's very much. And so in recalling how these movies came about, you know, during the movie, the town in Tokyo or wherever in the Asian communities were getting terrorized by this thing, that's this gigantic beast that is coming out of the water, terrorizing, destroying, mutilating. Think about it. So these are the kind of things that they've been conditioning us with in the entertainment industry. And it's not just exclusive to Hollywood. As you clearly see from the example I just gave, this was Hong Kong. So this was Hong Kong that was doing this. And which Hong Kong was considered, I don't know if it still is, but at one time it was considered to be like Hollywood of Asia, of the Asian community. But these things we don't even consider, and we go out and we go to these movies and we support these things, and it's steeped in wickedness, demonicness. We have to, as believers, I'm specifically speaking to believers, we have to watch our eye gates and our ear gates. We have to be mindful of what we put into them. And those that aren't believers, you're taking a very, very huge risk when you support these things. You have no idea whether or not a spell was cast on these things, on the products you use, or that might be called wicked something or death something. You don't know. And there's been movies, I'm not even necessarily talking now, I'm not even really talking about horror type of movies, but I'm talking about just movies like, for example, years ago when The Last Bad Boys came out, I went to see that in the movies. Everybody was, they had been talking about that movie for a good year and a half, maybe 2 years, maybe even more than that, maybe about 3 years, back and forth, how they wanted to do another Bad Boys. The movie finally came out. We're sitting in the theater, not even thinking. You know what? I don't even think the theater was open then. But at any rate, we're watching this movie, not even realizing that actual spells were being cast. The villain in the movie was a woman of Mexican descent that practiced Santeria, which is a form of witchcraft. And she's steady casting spells in the movie. So, and that's something that's not like a Harry Potter or something like that. You're thinking everything's all good, and somebody's casting spells in a movie like Bad Boy. So that right there is telling in itself. We have to watch our eyes, our eye gates, our ear gates. And when you're not a believer, you are even more susceptible, because you have no covering. You have no basis of combat, if you will. There's nothing that is protecting you from these things. You're totally out there, alone. So it's a pretty frightening thing to be taking a chance with your eternity. Because, like I say, we all have to live somewhere. Once this body, this shell is done and over with, our true self, our soul, our being, our spiritual being has to live somewhere. So that was an eye opener in regard to the movie that I'm talking about, Godzilla. And think about the name, Godzilla. So that was something too. And I used to like, since I'm talking about Asian movies, I'll talk about this quickly and I'll wrap it up. But I used to also like karate movies, especially when the females were doing it. I really enjoyed that. Like Sister Street Fighter, of course, the Bruce Lee movies. I definitely, what was it, Game of Death, or anyway, the one with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I used to enjoy those movies, not realizing that karate, as they properly pronounce it, has demonic denotations. Because you're bowing, like in reverence, in respect. Well, they call it respect, but it's really you're bowing to your opponent. And it's just this Asian, for lack of a better term, metaphysical type of thing, which is nothing short of summoning, getting energies and things of that nature. So, we don't think about these things until we get some understanding. Typically is when it happens. So I thank the Most High that He's revealing these things to me and continues to reveal these truths to me. So to summarize, watch what you put before you. Be mindful of what you're consuming. Not just ingesting, not just to satisfy your hunger, your thirst, but what you're consuming in your mind, in your being, in your spirit, your ruach. So that's my unapologetic thought. Another unapologetic thought. I'm EriKiYah. Till the next time. Stay prayed up. Shalom.